Disciple Podcast 14. I'm here with Leon.
Glad to be here.
Good to see you, man.
I've made the cut.
You've made it, yeah. You've made it, man. This one's been a long time in the making. If truth be known, we was almost too tired to do it.
We were.
But we pulled it out.
We pulled it out of the bag.
That's it. You know, we're just dedicated to the cause.
Of Real Disciples.
Of Real Disciple, yeah. So those of you that are into these Real Disciples, the two of you that watch it.
Me and you.
Yeah. This is dedication. Okay, let's just start with how did you get saved?
So I got saved in summer of 2004. And how that all came together was Potter's House Church was on the top of my road. Jimmy Robinson was the pastor. And
where was that? That was what location?
That's in
Ilford.
Manor Park. It was called Ilford, but it was in Manor Park.
Manor Park, okay.
So Manor Park, East London.
Yeah.
And so they were renting out one of the buildings on the top of the road. If I remember correctly,
was it like on a kind of high street type
just
of?
off the high street? That's right.
Yeah.
On the high street.
Yeah, I remember it.
Okay. Well, they had a concert, and I remember someone handed me a flyer. I didn't go in. I went home. And I gave it to my mum and my sister. I said, there's a church at the top of the road. You guys might be interested in it. And so my mum and my sister went to the church. This is probably like 2002, 2003.
Yeah.
And they got saved. And
Wow.
then they started to invite me to the church. And I wasn't really interested for a while, but I remember coming out to a few services. This is in 2003, just about to go up to uni. And I remember, you know, it wasn't a big church, just quite a pioneer setting. And I was engaged by Pastor Jimmy, and I kind of liked what he was saying and stuff. I feel convicted in all calls, but I wouldn't really respond. And so September, I moved up to university. Christmas, Easter, I would pass through the church. And then summer 2004, that's where God really got a hold of me, and I started going. And by the end of the summer, I'd surrendered my life to Christ. And then September of 2004, I moved back up to university. And that's where I found the Wolverhampton church. And that's where Pastor Jay and Cheryl had taken over. And I remember when I walked in, there was 6 people at the front, 2 people sitting down. And then I walked in. I think it was a midweek service. And
Was that when it was in the high street?
They were in the high street opposite Marks and Spencer on top of a shop.
Yeah.
It's like this one brown door. You have to kind of go in and go upstairs.
Yeah.
And I walked in, and that was it. I think Pastor Jay wasn't even there at that service. I think he was preaching away. And I walked in, there was more people on the stage than there were sitting down.
Wow.
And from that moment, I'm not saying I'm the credit of anything, but from that moment, there was a real momentum. And I think it grew from a handful to about 40, 50 people. And the rest is history.
And so you got saved in the church in London?
Yeah, 2004.
And then when you came to university, did you know there was a Potter's House here, and you was
in 2003 I did.
Okay.
Chris Gorman told me there's a church here.
Okay.
But I couldn't find it. I think I looked for it once. So
okay.
I'm not saying I was diligently searching for it.
Oh, so you was already in uni up here?
I was already in uni, yeah.
Okay. So you'd gone back to London for the break.
Yeah.
Got saved.
Yeah.
And then
came back up for my second year.
Yeah.
It was just full on for Jesus.
Amazing. And so I think I remember coming up here preaching.
Correct. For
Pastor J. I wasn't even a pastor at the time.
I remember.
Yeah. I remember coming up and meeting you guys.
You had it from the get-go. It's good. I remember that. And I remember I was battling with if I was going to stay in Wolverhampton or go back to London.
I remember we had that conversation, but I think did we not have that conversation when you guys moved to the other building?
No, that was definitely Market Street.
Okay, that was there.
Yeah, and I remember talking to you about that. And I can't remember what you said, but I ended up saying, so it works, mate.
Yeah, hopefully.
Hold on.
Hopefully it was... I might have just done that now. Go back to London, bro.
Go back to East London, mate.
Spirit just said, forget what that brother said.
Absolutely.
So, and so you get saved. You're in the church, and you see the church grow. Like yourself, Mo.
Yeah, we all started coming in around that time.
Some of the other guys.
Chris.
Yeah, Chris. Those are the main guys I remember. Um, and the church is growing. And so, how long after you was saved did you get married?
I knew you was going to ask me that. So if I came in September 2004,
Yeah.
I had established my interest in Lulu by January 2005.
Okay.
And so, yeah, we were married 18 months later.
Wow. And
So
so
it got to move quick.
yeah, and she'd been in the church.
She had been
how
in the
long by
church
then?
since 2000. She's one of the first members of the church.
Yeah.
Her, Jade, Stephen.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, she cradle snatched.
Yeah,
me.
I remember all of those guys getting saved when Jason was here.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. So that's the original core. And yeah, I made the move. I went for the kill.
Yeah.
And I caught very well, mate.
You done
well for myself, mate.
Yep.
Yeah, so not long afterwards, I was dating.
Up.
I was dating and I was married. So by 2000 when
how old was you when you got married?
I was 22 years old.
22 when you got married.
22 years old.
Wow.
22 years old, 2 years saved.
And so 2 years saved, 22 years old.
Yes.
Looking back now, and 20. Sometimes people can be like 22, so young. In some circles, to be getting married. How have you processed that, to be married at 22? And what would you say? No, it's not too. Obviously, I'm not going to say it's too young, but what are the things a 22-year-old has to do to make this marriage work? Anybody has to make it work, but especially a 22-year-old. When you look at yourself now, because how long you been married?
13 years.
Okay, so that's a decade ago.
Yes.
And so you're meeting 22-year-olds now.
Yeah.
And
scared of it.
sometimes you might be like, none of these guys are like, no, I'm too young to get married. Or even you might be like, yeah, I think you are.
Yeah.
But what do you look back and attribute? Yeah, I think the good thing is I had this.
Yeah. I think you've got to, that's a good question. I think if I look back, 22, there was a few things going on in me. One is I wanted to be a man. I wanted to make the transition from boy to man. And that's something that got put in me through the church and through discipleship. If I never got saved, I would have remained a boy for the rest of my life. Scared of marriage, scared of commitment, scared of responsibility. And so, there was, men's discipleships and stuff, and just through time spent with my pastor, I was very inspired by him. He was my first reference of a marriage and a family and a man who's just committed to his wife, loves his wife, and leads his home. Very inspired by that. And so I think in seeing that and being inspired by that, I knew I wanted that. And for the first time, marriage wasn't something that everybody was afraid of. And I saw the honor in it. And I saw that this is man desires a wife who desires a good thing.
In your family background, is there a lot of people that are married?
No.
Okay.
So I'm coming from a background where a lot of dysfunction, a lot of domestic violence in my family. My parents weren't married.
So you don't have this reference. You
no
come
reference
to church,
once.
and this is the first reference.
That was the first reference, and that's what really inspired me. And I felt like, that's what I want. And as I just, it's quick work. Like I'm 6 months saved, and I'm dating, and then before you know it, 3, 4, 5 months later, I'm engaged. Getting ready to get married. And so, so it's I think you gotta. I don't think I think it gets made into something bigger than it really is, and I'm being careful as I say that because marriage is not a light thing. But I think you got as a person kind of know what you want, and I think in your person you gotta realize that you gotta make certain decisions. You gotta stick by it, and all this idea of finding the perfect person and all of that, that's kerfuffle. You just try and be the best husband you can be, and if your wife can have that same kind of posture, I think you're able to make things work. I've enjoyed all my marriage, 13 years. We had to figure each other out a little bit. Me and my wife are very different people, but you can make it work. And so, yeah, the Bible says about, the wife of your youth. And so marriage is really a young man's game as well as an old man's game. But it's like you're young. You can give your best years to this person and grow together, develop together, learn together, not have all this baggage and issues and problems, work things out, make Christ the center of the union, and you can make it work. So Jesus was predominant in my life and in my wife's life, and he was like the foundation of our home and our marriage, and we both were passionate about Christ. We both wanted to be good Christians, and so I think if you got that posture, you're going to work things out, and your marriage is likely going to succeed.
You can get through
it.
Whatever
Absolutely.
life throws at you.
Absolutely.
You can get through it. I mean, the reason why I say I'm impressed, because almost, not quite, but I got married a decade later than you was.
Okay.
And at 22, I mean, I got saved at 22. You must have got what? So you got saved
20.
at 20.
Yeah.
So yeah, I got saved at 22, and I just wasn't ready. There's no way I was ready. There's no way on this planet I was ready. Not for lack of trying. I mean, I tried, but I just wasn't ready.
Yeah.
I was very immature, very undeveloped in my character, very confused about how to. You look on the outside, look like everything was together, but the underneath the core, there was really some things that needed to Jesus to sanctify, Jesus to unpick.
Yeah.
And so that's why I'm saying it is very impressive. But I think one of the things I would say is that the relationship with your pastor and having that access to be close.
Yeah, because I lived with him for about 3-4 months.
Okay.
And that was like going to family marriage school.
Yeah.
It's just right there in front of you. You see everything, and you see how it works, and how they get along and how they function together. And so that really helped. Again, that would have been summer of 2005. So I was early stages of dating Lou. Yeah. And I just learned a lot.
Do you think your wife being saved a long time was
yes,
is kind of that's an added bonus?
Absolutely.
Not the success and failure of anything, but an added bonus.
If I be totally honest, I had to catch up to her and then overtake her.
Yeah.
And I was pretty determined about that.
Yeah.
Yeah, she had memorized the first chapter of James off by heart.
Yeah.
Can just recite it to you if you ask me what the James 1:1 is right now, I probably would struggle. And so she was very mature, very
but that's insightful, because sometimes a guy comes into church and the woman's been saved a lot longer.
Yes.
And we're like, sis, how's he going to lead you?
Yes.
How's he going to be the man? And what we're seeing here is that, no. It has nothing to do with that. And so there could be women in church now, and they'll be like, hey, there's no brothers in this church.
Yeah.
But God can bring a guy in, and the guy gets on fire, gets with the program.
Yeah. And
listen, that guy can become your covering. That guy can be a blessing to your life.
That's right.
If he puts his mind to it.
Yeah. If he's passionate about Christ and he wants to live for God, God will raise him up. God will do what he has to do in him. Yeah. And so that's the main thing. That's important.
What you come? Obviously, you're in your 20s. You're from London. You come to Wolverhampton. You come to this little church, 6 people, Pastor Jay. How did you culturally look at things, or did it not even look like it was this small church or anything like that? What was the thing that drew you, that kept you coming back? What was the thing you said that Pastor Jay became like? What's the word? Like your mentor, your main reference. This
father
guy,
of faith,
this main focus.
Yeah.
What was it about him that really drew you?
Okay, I think there's two answers in this.
Yeah.
Culturally, if I
Yeah.
can speak on that.
Yeah.
The size of the church didn't really bother me
Yeah.
because Manor Park wasn't a massive church.
Okay.
So I was pretty comfortable in
So
that.
you have no references of church and salvation together. Obviously, you've been to churches and it's that, but I've not saved there. So this is all I know.
Yeah, that's all I know. So
Because sometimes a pioneering pastor can be insecure about those things.
Yeah.
That these people might not stay, or they might go to the mega church around the corner or whatever. But when someone gets saved, and this is, they know there's bigger churches, but this is their only reference of salvation in church.
Yes, that's right.
So this is it.
This is it. That's exactly what it was like. If there was any cultural things that I had to adjust to, it's just coming from London to Wolverhampton.
Yeah.
There's a different kind of culture and vibe outside of London. London's quite unique in itself.
Yeah.
So there were the real adjustments. That's probably what I was battling with most about staying.
Okay.
Or going back to London. And with my pastor, one of the things that inspired me was how he was willing to throw himself into this, and his dedication. And he preached to us like there was 100 of us in that room.
Yeah.
And he's willing to invest into us. I've never had a man invest into me. My dad picked up when I was about 5 or 6, and there was no goodbye. That was it. It's gone. And so I never had an older man put any kind of investment in me or tell me that I could be something, or anything like that. And so that really helped as well. This is discipleship, his investment into my life. And
what's
also,
the age difference between you and Pastor J?
Pastor's about a year older than you, isn't he?
Yes.
So he tells me I'm his age when he took over Wolverhampton. So he was in his mid-30s, and I was in about 15 years.
Okay. So it's not massive amount of age
it's not.
To be a real impact to someone's life.
Yes.
Like,
No, it's not.
To be that discipler, that mentor, that father figure.
Correct.
Even though the age is not massive.
Yeah.
It's not like, a real father figure is someone who's at least 20 years older than
correct.
you.
Yeah.
20, 25, 30 years older than you. But he's not.
No.
But it's that input, it's that devotion, it's that care, that discipling, that constant accessibility.
Yeah. And giving me a shot as well. No one gave me a shot at anything. And he's like, okay, Leon, I want you to preach. All
He
cool.
believes in you.
Believes in me. Gave me opportunity. And I was like, you want me to do it? And everything he asked me to do, my response was always yes. Whether I felt equipped to do it, whether I felt I was ready to do it, wanted to lead a Bible study.
I think that's the thing with Pastor J.
Yeah.
Because he really did a lot of discipling me. And we're like, same age, really.
Yeah.
But he had been saved a lot longer than me. But he would say things like, you could do this.
Yeah.
You can be that person. You could preach.
Yeah.
You could, do these things.
Yeah, that's right. And
I was like, me.
Yeah.
I can't do nothing.
Yeah, he always told me the win-win was, if you do it and you do it right, well then well done, you've learned something. If you've done it wrong, I can just kick your head in and you get it right next time.
Win-win.
That's win-win situation.
That's Pastor J, man. That's gone. That should be his next book. I can imagine him wearing it as a T-shirt.
That's right, win-win.
Yeah.
And so,
Pastor J, if you're out there and you watch this, you make those T-shirts.
That's right. I wear one myself.
I want royalties.
So that was a key thing. Giving me a shot, giving me opportunity to preach, and just to teach me how to function and do these things. And so, a lot of that is what helped me kind of stay here. And also, God dealt with me. God dealt with me about Wolverhampton. Yeah. And I remember God saying, I want you to stay here. And I had to submit to that. I didn't know all that he had.
Was that hard?
That was. I was about to leave after the end of my second year. I remember sitting in the prayer meeting saying, I think at the end of this year, I'm going back to London. I'm not going to finish my third year.
And that was before there was any interest in your wife?
No, there was. She's come down to London with me.
Okay, you're going to snatch her up and steal her, yeah?
She was not. She was not into that at the time.
Yeah.
But that's what it was real consideration.
Okay.
And yeah, God dealt with me. God was like, I want you to stay here. And I remember by the end of my second year, I sat down with Pastor Jay and I said, God wants me here, I'm staying.
Amen.
And that was it.
The podcast is called Real Disciple. When you hear Real Disciple, what does that mean to you of Jesus Christ?
I think the answer's in the question, that you're a disciple of Christ.
Mm.
I know that we're taught by men, imitate me as I imitate Christ.
Yeah.
And as we spoke of those important years of Pastor Jay imparting into my life and teaching me things, and other great men of God, other ministers of the gospel have imparted into me. I'm still learning off other men, but primarily, I'm following Christ. A real disciple is a follower of Christ. I want to be like Christ. I want to have his character. I want to operate in the dimensions that he operated in. He says that you should do greater works. And there is a continual appetite. There's a hunger and there's a desire for him, to follow him and be willing to lay down your life as he laid down his life. It's taking up your cross. It's denying self. It's pursuing his will. I think if a guy's doing that, then he is a real disciple. I think it's that old saying that you can't keep a poor man up, but you can't hold a good man down. If a man is pursuing Christ, he's as real as a disciple as you can get, and he can be anywhere in the world, Iraq, Afghanistan, and there he is. He's got a relationship with God. He's pursuing the things of God. He's a dangerous force in the earth. That for me is a real disciple.
So if we was to compound what you're saying, it's like a genuine disciple of Jesus is someone who is chasing after Christ.
Absolutely.
Someone who's following Christ.
Yes.
Chasing after him.
Yeah.
Wanting to be like him.
Yeah. I think as well, that's how men that we disciple, that's how they go further than us. Yeah. Because they're not just trying to get to us. Yeah. They're getting to Christ, and he's beyond us. Yeah. And so if you make a disciple of Christ, and he's gonna do great things, and because he's chasing after the one that's greater than us. We're just pointing him in the way.
So at this level where your church is, what are some of the struggles that you see in discipleship? Obviously, people see this, so we don't need
no nitty gritty, no details. We don't
need, that brother that doesn't come to. Well, what are the struggles that you in making a disciple?
Oh, and so what we're talking about in the context of someone who gets saved.
Like you want to make disciples. Yeah. You're in the process of trying to make disciples. Yeah. Where do you see the struggles? Like, this guy could, how do you see all of that? Like,
okay, yeah, I get what you're saying. Yeah, I suppose it's because there's an element of this where you gotta want this for yourself. That hunger and that desire I was talking about. Yeah, I can try and inspire it, but I can't put that in you. Yeah, there's something about you getting on your face before God, and you willing to lay it all down before God, and you can't make that happen. You can't manufacture that, and so I suppose it's the part that's outside of your hands. It's the part where it's the individual meeting with God by themselves in that secret place. And I believe when that happens, it produces a lot more that you can work with, because now you're working with the momentum that's in their life. They're pursuing God, and so now I'm working with that. I can work with that. So I think that's probably one of the challenges is you're trying to give all the things that would be helpful if there was an inner momentum of the person, and they haven't got that momentum. They may be apathetic towards the things of God. They're happy to come to church, but are not really chomping at the bit for Jesus. I think that's probably the challenge, but that's more something that's outside of your hands, because that's something I believe that they got to meet with God personally on. And so that's probably the biggest thing right now.
Because you think Jesus just says, "Come, follow me." If you don't see Jesus chasing them,
no, they drop their nets.
Yeah, and they want it.
And they want it. We've left all, forsaken all to follow you.
Yeah, they want what Jesus has, and if you don't want what Jesus has, then there's really not much I can do.
So the problem is how many are willing to drop their nets.
Yeah.
That's the biggest problem. That's the biggest challenge.
Yeah. I guess that's building that visionary ministry.
Yeah.
That people come into that ministry and they start to feel a big vision.
Yes.
And the presence of God.
Yes.
It's a spirit-filled environment where people do get that vision. And then the discipleship begins by saying, okay, you want this? We're going to show you. We're going to teach you. We're going to mentor you. We're going to help
that's
you.
Right. That's right.
But they need to get that.
Yeah, that's got to be there.
Build that environment.
Yeah.
This environment of it.
Yeah.
Yeah, very good. Very good. So, 9 years.
9 years in Wolverhampton.
And big vision.
Big vision.
Long-term
vision.
Long-term vision that you have for here. And so, yeah, this is it. Appreciate you.
Coming to this. Yeah, I was going to say thank you for the invite.
Oh, no.
I feel like I'm on the map now.
Yeah.
I'm official. I've made it.
What?
Shout out to Mum. Love you.
I made it,
Mum.
There you go, man. Disciple. Real disciple. Share it. And, appreciate that. We'll keep you in prayer.
Absolutely. You too, mate.
Peace.